the expert speaker who would be guiding us in today's webinar, Mr. Rahat Bhatia, Founder Director, Raga Group, die casting innovator, author, speaker, and most important, the Vice Chairperson, Alucast Delhi Zonal Center. Mr. Rahat Bhatia is well known as a leading die casting innovator, author, and speaker in India. As I just mentioned, he is the founder director of the Raga Group and has more than 29 years of experience in global marketing and sales spanning across Southeast Asia, America, and Europe. He has worked with more than 350 die casters in 17 countries across the world and has helped them in reducing casting rejections and increase mold life. An entrepreneur at heart, Rahat started his own business providing new age solutions to the die casting companies. His group, Raga, holds a reputation for its innovations and leadership in the die casting domain in India as well as outside India. A very proud announcement that I would like to make through today's webinar. A book, Zero Porosity Management, authored by Mr. Rahat Bhatia, is going to be soon released, and we look forward to release this wonderful and very informative book in the upcoming edition of Alucast, that is Alucast 2022, that is happening on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of December. And as I said, it makes us feel very proud that Mr. Rahat Bhatia, as you can see him, full of energy, full of enthusiasm, and full of zeal to contribute something in every form, in any form that comes to him. So we are very proud that besides looking after his Raga Group, very passionately he is associated with Alucast and is serving us as the Vice Chairman of the North Cluster of Alucast, which we call as the Delhi Zonal Center of Alucast. We are very happy, Mr. Rahat, a very, very warm welcome to you. On behalf of Alucast Head Office, you are already a part of Alucast, so I would say on behalf of the Alucast Secretariat, the Alucast Head Office, as well as all the industry representatives who are a part of today's webinar, a very warm welcome to you. And now over to you, Mr. Rahat.
Well, Ms. Kirti, thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, very audible, yes.
Great. And such a pleasure to be there in this afternoon. And thank you so much for, affluently introducing me to all the community here in India. And there are some members outside India too. So let me first share my presentation and then we'll start. Is the presentation visible?
Yes, Rahat.
Okay. Well, first of all, gratitude to Alucast, India's premier aluminum die casting representative body for giving this opportunity to present this webinar on a very interesting topic called creating a global impact, modern sales strategies for a global die casting business. Well, in these turbulent times, when uncertainty is the order of the day, this topic of taking your die casting business globally is very relevant. And with an eye of spreading the risk across the markets today, no die caster would want to put all eggs in one basket, which also means not getting dependent on either their local market or for any one market to be particular. So whether it is dependent geographically or on a particular sector, die casting business has to be made more sustainable. And as you rightly said, the theme of Alucast conference and exhibition is also the same. And in the competitive world that we are living in, marketing and sales have become very critical for any die casting company, as it is for any business for that matter. Before we dwell and jump into this hot and burning topic, let me take this liberty to, you already introduced, but let me put a word of it on it. Well, I come as a die casting strategist. I'll explain you how on this. Ms. Kirti has already talked about this book called Zero Porosity Management. I'm very excited about this book. I took close to 1 year to write this book, and very close to my heart. And almost my professional journey's gist is inside this book. This book is also has a ecosystem which I'm introducing called ZPM ecosystem. Well, this book has been widely acclaimed as a path-breaking book with a never-before collection of thoughts, ideas, and strategies that a die-casting business can look into. This book introduces a ZPM ecosystem which offers a management framework which die-casters can adopt and see positive results. This book would be launched internationally in the Yokohama Die-Casting Show in Japan during 10th to 12th November this year, just after 10 days, and as said by Ms. Kirti, in India during the Elucast show. In this presentation, I would be showing some snippets of very interesting content of this book that is relevant to today's topic. I would skip this introduction which you have already given to me. Thank you so much for it. Well, little bit about my company, Raga. Raga has been a forefront company, delivering technologies and consumables for Indian and global die casting companies that produce critical parts like engine blocks, structural parts, and now electric vehicle parts. As already told, it has served over 350 die casting customers across 17 countries in the last 26 years. We have a team of over 85 very dedicated and skilled members. What do? We have a wide range of specialized products. We are one of the pioneers in jet cooling and vacuum technology in the country, and now manufacturing world's #1 jet cooling machine for GigaPress, and introduce the world's only one-stop modular cooling system for die casting. The mold cooling optimization devices include a patented monitoring system that we launched in Eurogas, Germany. And we have high-life mold and injection consumables, including several products we have been manufacturing for the last 25 years. So today's agenda has already been told by Ms. Kirti. We'll not get into it. You already know about this agenda. Let's start with global die casting in the new era. So the idea is to make you understand what's going on in this area. Aluminum castings are majorly supplied to the automotive sector, and it is important to understand what's going on in this sector as of now. Electric vehicle revolution is going on at a speed that most of us never envisaged. And it has fired the imagination of most by none other than Elon Musk of Tesla. Globally, Tesla's vehicle deliveries reached a record of over 900,000, which is 9 lakh, in the first 3 quarters of 2022, which is good 45% up as compared to the last year, while the Q3 sales was up by 42%. Concurrently, Tesla's Model 3 has become the world's best-selling plug-in electric vehicle model. In 2020, Tesla created one of the biggest innovations in aluminum high-pressure die casting. And on the left side, you see, this is Tesla's Gigafactory in Fremont, California, USA, which built a car underbody in one part, replacing 70 plus parts which needed to be assembled and welded. Also making over 300 robots redundant. This also gave Tesla 30% reduction in cost and better strength and durability to the car. And now this is getting replicated in other factories, in their factories. And I see that Tesla's giga casting strategy is to be adopted by half a dozen other automakers. There is another car maker called Volkswagen. This is the leading German car maker who has also been working on this concept. This casting is a large part of the rear end on a 4,400 ton die casting machine. This replaces 30 individual parts and saves a total of 10 kilograms in weight. Large casting, 1.6 meter by 1.5 meter, with a locking force of 4,400 ton in just 2 minutes. The competition requires 6,100 ton locking force and longer production times, which means even in the giga casting innovations, companies like Volkswagen are innovating to ensure that the same part is being casted with a lower tonnage machine. Volvo Cars, the Swedish premium car brand, has purchased two die casting cells for its factory in Torslanda, Sweden. The Karat 840 along with Karat 920, Bühler's largest die casting solutions, were launched in 2021. These solutions have become very attractive for customers in the automotive sector industry. In October 2021, Bühler launched the Karat 840 and 920 with locking forces up to 92,000 kilonewtons. With these solutions, Bühler's customers can produce structural castings for automotive body in white assemblies known as mega castings. Well, the story still continues. 2 years after the world's first 6,000-ton die casting machine launched in 2020, LK has achieved another remarkable milestone this year, building the world's first 9,000-ton machine. The new model is named Dream Press, and the clamping force is 9,000 tons, which is the largest machine in the world. It has a technologically breakthrough that differentiates from the traditional toggle-based and toggle-free machines, which have higher performances and wider application ranges, to fully meet the needs of large-size single-piece casting production for the automotive industry. It provides a solid foundation for the sustainable development of the die casting industry. And around a month back, LK, the Chinese machinery maker, launched the Dream Press. Hold your heart. It's a 12,000-ton die casting machine. This launch brings more possibilities for single-piece casting structural parts in the industry. So what does this actually mean for all of us? This figure from the Zero Porosity Management book is an indication of how die casting machines sizes have evolved in the last 30 years. Till 2010, a very high tonnage die casting machine was around 2,500 tons. And by the end of the decade of 2010, 4,000 tons and around came as to be called as a very high tonnage machines. In 2020, Tesla introduced the concept of GigaPress, a gigantic 6,500 ton die casting machine. This is what I call the turning point in the way the world saw the size and tonnage of die casting machines. This was and is a game changer. The trend is wide and clear. Integrated castings will replace smaller parts. As depicted in the figure on the right, the decade of 2000 to 2010 could be termed as a period of lightweighting, where steel parts were designed and converted into aluminum and other lightweighting alloys. This decreased vehicle weight, brought in fuel efficiency, and conformed to stringent emission norms. The last decade, which we have just left, could be termed as the period of emergence of structural parts, where shock towers and structural parts of the vehicle were made from aluminum castings. This decade from 2020 is looked at as the period of replacement of engine to EV parts. Today in October 2022, we are not even halfway through the decade, but the speed at which EV parts are getting developed is crazy, to say the least. The decade of 2030 and beyond is envisaged as a period of replacement of small castings to large integrated castings. By then, the penetration of giga-sized ultra-large presses would have gone substantial, and the industry would have matured working with such an environment. So what does this mean to you and me? Every die casting company has two choices: cast run-of-the-mill, easily castable parts with minimal stringent requirements, or cast seemingly difficult critical parts that have high stringent standards to adhere to. The catch is clear. Critical parts means higher margins, and if handled and produced without rejection, then higher profits to the business. The dream of most die casting companies is to increase its revenues, and it is clearly evident from the figure above that the high tonnage, high critical castings could be the route to it. The journey, however, starts from low tonnage, less critical, to low tonnage, highly critical parts, to high tonnage, less critical parts, and then finally to high tonnage, highly critical parts. Now let's look into the emerging sales challenges and their impact, which we have seen in last few years. Mr. Sum, the president of Frane Madras, once said, die casting has to be prepared for unforeseen healthcare challenges of the kinds that COVID gave to us. In India, automotive moved from B4 to B6, we already know, and had huge changeover challenges. Those are all some of the things the industry also becomes very resilient to handle these kind of things. The chip shortage has impacted the business too. To keep costs under control is another challenge. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic had a profound impact on manufacturing operations, and the market witnessed a slowdown due to supply chain disruptions and trade restrictions worldwide. With COVID, semiconductor chip shortage, and now Russia-Ukraine war, and all these in succession, die casters are going through challenges of all kinds. Imagine a scenario when you are stuck in a situation and you don't know where you are stuck. Now imagine a scenario when you are stuck in a situation and you know why you are stuck, but you have no control over it. Invariably, die casters are stuck in both of these scenarios. As you all know, challenges drop in when you least expect them. COVID was a typical case. The world is now moving from being global to local, and that is a kind of reverse which was happening in the last few decades. The reasons are simple and evident. With COVID-19, the dependence on cheap imports and logistics bubbled out as a recipe for disaster. So more and more countries are working towards made in their own country. What does that mean to a die caster is simple. It will be increasingly difficult for exports. The second challenge is logistics. Logistics costs have gone haywire, and in the last year or so, it became prohibitively expensive to use logistics. Distance has become now distant. Logistics is now becoming the core decision-making strategy for procurement from OEMs. Companies in the USA are focusing on sourcing either from USA or Mexico. Western Europe is preferring either Eastern Europe or Turkey. We will dwell more on this later in the presentation. The second challenge is the input costs. With very volatile metal prices, the calculations have gone tipsy-turvy. The procurement of raw material has become more challenging. Inventory at your end could be a reason to wipe out your profits in case the prices drop down. With rising fuel and gas prices owing to the war, more and more aluminum producers and die casters are facing a red situation. And guess what? What's the worst part? And all this is not in their control. The next challenge is the cost of investment. The war has severely impacted the economies all around. With rising cost of fuel and gas, there is extraordinarily high inflation in every country. In simple words, everything has become expensive. To contain inflation, the government has increased money lending rates through the banks. So if a die caster is contemplating investment in equipment or infrastructure, then the cost of investment is significantly higher than before. Similarly, the cost of working capital needed for day-to-day operations is also very high. This has impacted selling costs for every die caster. One of the major things which has impacted is the impact of currency. If you see this, I have also written in the book, I've just compared with the countries who have been exporting or who have been doing die casting majorly. The last 1 year has been very variable for the value of currency to USD. If you see just last year from October 2022 to September 2023, these are the countries, which have an impact of devaluation or overvaluation with respect to USD. The currency fluctuation decides whether it leaves more or less money in your business. This impacts both imports and exports. And if the currency is devalued as compared to USD, then it means higher cost of imports, but it also means more money in business when there is an increase in exports. To understand the impact of changing currency valuation, let us look into what happened in the last 1 year. Sorry. For some major countries that are producing and exporting die castings. If you see carefully, Turkish lira was 9 liras to 1 USD and now it is around 18 liras. So which means there is a 100% devaluation of the currency. Hungary is also an upcoming country. Hungarian forint has gone through a devaluation of 33%. Japanese yen by 27%. Poland is also an Eastern Europe country where die casting is emerging, has gone through a 20% devaluation. Euro has gone through 17%. Indian rupee has gone through 8%. And guess what? Mexico has no change in its currency with respect to the fluctuation with respect to USD. Which means a straight look at this fact indicates Turkish die casters have got the highest edge when it comes to exports. They have the position to become fiercely competitive as compared to others. And it is then followed by Hungary, Japan, Poland, European countries, India, and then Mexico. While on the other side, Chinese yuan and Russian ruble has appreciated, making them uncompetitive by 10 to 11%. It is another story that trade with Russia is banned due to war by several countries. What does it mean for die casters in India? Die casters in India and Mexico have to be very competitive as compared to other major producers of die casting. This is a challenge that needs to be considered in the highly volatile economic conditions, and there is unfair advantage to few countries. Let's look into some more insights into challenges on a different trajectory. Future cost of today's action. Most people have a set belief system or a viewpoint on what will work and what will not work. This is a viewpoint from their past experience and with a limited angle lens. This is what I call a limited viewpoint. For example, when a die caster started his business, he made a templated website having content of key pointers and continued with the same for many years to come. This was coming from a viewpoint that they get their business from direct sales efforts and not from their website. Now that they're looking at exports, they need to look at their website from an expanded viewpoint. Now, if they ignore and do not work on their website today, then they pay the cost of poor brand image and reputation. The viewpoint that was earlier was okay, but unknowingly it was not changed, and continuously this gets ignored, which we pay the cost in future. To explain it more, imagine the future cost that a human body pays while today it gets abused with excess alcohol and unhealthy food. It is the same with your business. It is very important for a die casting company to brainstorm the small and big actions which it is taking or not taking and contemplate the future cost, and also deciding the actions which need to be avoided. The topmost agenda for you as head of the organization has to think and take actions on expanding business and acquiring new customers. If these actions are not taken today, the customer is not going to help you expand your business. It is because they are very busy expanding their own business. In short, evaluate the cost of not doing what needs to be done today, and it will give you a totally different perspective. Customer reacquisition. The biggest cost that a business pays is the cost of losing business, and more often the cost of acquiring it again. Everybody knows this. Customers these days have more options and choices than ever before. He is more informed than he was. One who can manage customers loses their share of business to a competitor. Once a profitable business is lost, the cost of idle capital, testing, machinery, infra, etc. is huge. And once the business goes, I have seen die casters getting back the same business at lower and competitive pricing. Tons of money are spent on hiring best manpower, equipment, peripherals, technologies, and automation, but still struggling with orders and even break-even. Die casting companies that have grown organically or inorganically have been the ones which could hang on with the profitable business they started years back. Years of experience and know-how on the business and those parts has led to decreased costs, increased life, and thus higher profits. One of the things which we really need to know is also the cost of poor brand image. In a meeting with an OEM which I had, when I suggested a die caster to an OEM, the OEM replied curtly, saying, "This company is a straight no. It has perennial problems with delivery, quality, and accountability." In one stroke, the die caster was not even offered the RFQ. I know of this die caster which worked very hard to resolve their internal issues, but it will take years to build the image. It is often said that brand image loss is bigger than economic loss. It takes years to build and some transactions to break it. For a customer, the die caster which delivers on its promise to give product and services on committed timelines is the good brand. With a good brand, the cost of acquiring new business goes significantly down. Part designers all over the world are now focusing on integrated castings to simplify development and production and reduce development and production cost. Big castings and faster casters will overpower smaller and not so fast casters. Only those fishes which are agile, structured, and evolved would escape the large ones in times to come. With this trend, it's more and more pertinent for a die casting company to see how ready they are to adapt to these changing times. I'll give you a very interesting case illustration on a die casting export business. Europe is facing production losses due to shortage of gas due to the war. Car production in Europe may drop by a huge 15% due to this. Companies like Volkswagen and others are looking to shift their production to non-European countries which are not impacted by gas. And guess what? One of them is Turkey. Turkey has just recently also inaugurated the new national car plant, a car indigenously made in Turkey. They're also building their own domestically produced electric cars too. So, my dear friends, the country to look out for is Turkey. Turkey has both fair and unfair advantages to its side and is now the fastest growing die casting market in the world. As discussed before, Turkey has land proximity to Europe. This gives them an unfair advantage of logistics by road to Europe. After COVID, as I said before, most buyers in Europe are considering logistics as one of the key decision-making point of view. Turkey, as I said before, has a 100% devalued currency, making it extremely competitive for exports. It's a neutral country geopolitically, and it is attracting huge business from countries like Russia. Top Russian companies, automotive companies are lining up in Turkey to source everything they are not able to source from other countries due to sanctions. Just last week, I had the opportunity to attend one such meeting with top Russian automotive companies in Istanbul. and I was witness to this. Turkish die casters are very aggressively marketing their companies and products in international market. In the Eurogust show in June this year in Germany, Turkish die casters had third largest strength next to Germany and Italy. And the recent Ankylos Hannover Fair in Istanbul in October had more than 1,000 exhibitors from Turkey and across the world. By the way, there is a very strong industry and academia interface in Turkey for die casting. Technical universities in Turkey are running special courses on die casting and doing a lot of research work with the industry. The average age in Turkey is just 33 years. They have a young, educated and skilled manpower in the industry and die casting. Turkish die casting engineers are now getting placed in the best die casting industry across the world, including Tesla and others. So my dear friends in India, you have to look out for this country called Turkey. Let's come back to the opportunities for Indian die casters. The die casting market was valued at USD 61 billion in 2021, and it is expected to reach close to US 86 billion in 2027, registering a CAGR of close to 6%. This is by a Modern Intelligence report. Cutting down on automobile emissions and increasing fuel efficiency are driving the automakers to reduce the weight of the automobile by employing lightweight non-ferrous metals. Subsequently, employing die-cast parts as a weight reduction strategy is acting as a major driver and flexibility in the industry. Dynamics are changing, and so will die casting. In every element of transformation and disruption, die casting will play a major role. Die casters are now more open to looking into opportunities in these changing times. The demand for aluminum high-pressure die casting parts has been increasing across numerous industrial applications over the years. The Asia-Pacific region and Europe are anticipated to witness major developments owing to growing aluminum production and consumption in the region. There is a rising number of acquisitions and partnerships by the major players to further enhance development in the market. The growth of the aluminum die casting market is likely to continue to increase in order to meet the increasing demand for lightweight components and light and high conductivity metal parts from the automotive and the non-automotive industry. As I said before, Asia-Pacific region is likely to witness significant growth. And the reason is, this region is anticipated to hold the largest market share in the die casting due to the rise in demand for automobiles in countries such as and also contributing or playing a role manufacturing these parts. When it comes to India, electric vehicle has also gone. The electric vehicle mobility trend is also catching up, and it's catching up at a speed which is beyond our expectations. There are many new companies and startups that have joined this bandwagon. Some of the major companies are listed here for your reference. I think this is a good opportunity for die casters to work with these makers closely on how die casting can help them produce lighter and cost-effective vehicles. And it is very important for die casting as an industry, as a community, to actually work closely with these startups to understand how we can contribute more. Probably this could be a marketing effort for your company to enter into these companies. I think die casting has to go beyond manufacturing castings, I think it has to go into looking into how those parts could actually create value for these electric vehicle companies. Well, there are opportunities beyond automotive. And today I thought, let me talk about certain opportunities which are beyond automotive. Construction is the first sector which I would talk about. Because of the strength and lightweight, aluminum metal castings are used to manufacture window frames, roof superstructures, and building frames. Healthcare is one of the growing sectors. Die-cast parts are used to manufacture complex medical devices such as ultrasound systems, pacemakers, dialysis equipment, medical robots, monitoring devices, and hospital bed gearboxes. Energy is the next sector to look at. The oil and gas sectors are dependent on die casting components to produce piping, drilling machinery, valves, flow controls, filtration devices, impellers, and more. The renewable energy sector utilizes a range of die cast components such as wind turbine blades and solar panel brackets. Electronics has been there, but India is also coping up with electronics now. The rapid pace of innovation in the consumer electronics industry requires a constant supply of flexible, light, heat-resistant, and highly durable precision parts. The electronics industry incorporates die-cast components in everything from 5G base station housings to smartphones to drones to personal computers and home appliances. The other surprising sector is mining. Die-cast metal components are also used in mining and mineral processing. Equipment such as excavators, drills, draglines, crushers, and specialized heavy-duty vehicles. Paper mills rely on a range of machinery made with die-cast components. These include heads used in paper machine dryers, pulleys, gears, and housings. Furniture, die-cast aluminum parts can be precision made cheaply from recycled materials, have no joints, can be powder coated, and feature parts with many integrated functions. This makes them ideal for furniture manufacturers. Mechanical and plant engineering. High precision manufacturing processes are only possible with the use of large-scale die-cast industrial products such as machine tools, conveyors, pumps, lifting equipment, and compressors. And last but not the least, aerospace. As with the automotive industry, the aerospace sector requires lightweight, high tensile structural parts, components. The use of magnesium and aluminum die casting allows aerospace manufacturers to build lighter and more fuel-efficient aircraft. Well, we come to the most interesting part of the whole presentation, that what could be the 7 strategies that are really working right now. Before I start with these strategies, if you are still there, and I see that there are more than 80 people still there in the conference, as a gift to you, I would be giving you something which you will really relish at the end of the presentation. So hang on, my dear colleagues, till the end of presentation. You're going to get a special gift. Well, let's look into the 7 key strategies. The first thing which I would talk about is international exhibitions and conferences. As I said before, Eurogust 2022 in Nuremberg, Germany, is the biggest exhibition for die casting in the world. This is the platform for anyone related to die casting to be there. Buyers from across the world, including all automotive majors, visit this exhibition to search for suppliers. Most European die casters consider this as one biggest marketing effort to convert their sales for next 2 years. This is the platform to create brand image, product awareness, presence, and yes, business too. This year, it had close to 638 exhibitors from 34 countries. As I told you before, Turkey was the 3rd strongest presence in the exhibition. There were 6 Indian companies exhibiting, including Raga, which is less than 1% of the total exhibitors. I think Indian die casting, if aiming at exports, then it has to be present in this exhibition. And I want to see next time this 1% going to 5% or more, maybe even 10%. The second thing which I would talk about is present case studies and papers. Like Elucast and Nuremberg Messe, they are giving a platform for you to present case studies and papers. The best way to create brand awareness is to present case studies and papers. This helps create credibility and authority in your market, and also identify you as a die caster with a USP. I would urge the fraternity to become member of key die casting associations. There are many die casting associations and bodies across the world, of course, like Elucast, NADCA, ADCA, and many others. Becoming their members entails you to have key and critical information about that market. These are very small actions which can be taken by any die casting manufacturing company in India to have access to that market. The third thing is to identify and fix local representative. Create a representative profile. If you think that you need a local representative there in the market, for USA and Europe, it is important to appoint a local representative that takes care of your sales and post-sales issues. This generates tremendous confidence in the customers. For this, create a representative profile that can accurately define typical characteristics and requirements from a representative. And I can tell you that you will find this representative if you travel to these exhibitions across the world. Now for the gift which I was talking about, for the people who stay till the last of this presentation, I'll give you a list of global exhibitions and conferences which happen. And this list I've compiled, we personally compiled this list of around 50 key exhibitions around the world on die casting, on automotive parts and lightweighting, with a tentative period of event and contacts for your ready reference. As a special gift to everyone who has stayed till now, as I said before in this webinar, this comes as a bonus. I hope you all love this bonus. Please refer to this list and see how you can plan your next year's calendar. And if you have any doubt, you can surely get back to me. The second point is creating a brand image. Brand image plays a key role in growth of your business, any business, be it die casting also. Marketing and sales follow once brand image is in place. Creating brand image is not a one-day job, but it is a set of persistent and conscious efforts over a period of time. So I want you all to create a very strong network of buyers, sourcing managers, supply chain heads, key decision makers on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the most appropriate B2B platform for die casters. Make a list of customers you wish to target. Send them personal invites with special messages and create a strong network of contacts over a period of time. I could personally create a network of around 12,000 followers through conscious efforts. And believe me, these are people from across the world, including buyers for die casting. This could become the cheapest and the fastest way to create brand awareness and create influence with decision makers. Make a systematic plan to create brand awareness and sensitization. The idea is to make a systematic plan once you create your network. Look into brand awareness campaign by global die casting companies like NEMAC and Castellan. Well, these are companies which are actually creating their brand awareness on LinkedIn. I want you to go and see their pages and how they are doing that. Write blogs, articles on die casting on online and offline international publications. Of course, Elucast is access to you. This is your own association. This is your own organization where you can actually contribute. Also on Foundry Planet, and of course, Eurogus has also got a platform where you can write. International publications have a worldwide reach and readership. Plan to write blogs and articles so that you can establish your credibility and authority. And the last thing which I would ask business owners and the top management of every die casting company is to position yourself as an expert, helping your customers generate more business and profits. Well, this is one of the best strategies from my side. I often say people buy people first and then what they sell. Your customers want to see you and your profile. If you can position yourself as an expert to help your customers generate more business and profits, and that's exactly what I'm doing through this webinar. Once your customer grows, you automatically grow in your business. Think and brainstorm on ideas on how this could be done for your business and customers. The third strategy, what I call is a sniper marketing strategy. As far as marketing is concerned, there are two strategies, splinter and sniper. Splinter is to create marketing campaigns for all, everyone, and then wait for customers to come back to you. While sniper is a more focused strategy, focusing on specific customer needs, desire, and its problems. I strongly believe and advocate focused approach to marketing, which means identify top 20 international customers. The first step for global sales is to identify these top 10, 20 dream international customers. These could be buyers who can give you parts which you have expertise and experience and where you can add value. I have seen every die casting company with its own USP, which this company is proud of. Identify their pressing problems, their needs and desires, and prepare marketing campaign. As I said before, research on these customers, their possible objections, and create answers and campaigns specifically for them. Prepare online and offline marketing collaterals in 4-phase methodology. Your marketing collaterals should be based on 4 phases of marketing. This is a comprehensive way to create influence and guide the customer to create interest in your product and give them reasons on why they should prefer you. Showcase testimonials. This is an old method of marketing, but let me tell you, friends, this is an established way to create credibility to a customer's audience. A satisfied customer gives best confidence to your prospective customer and makes it easy to break wall. Identify your product technical strength and showcase in marketing campaigns. As I mentioned before, every die casting company which I have met has its strength and can showcase it as a better strategy. At our end, we manufacture jet cooling, vacuum, and mold and injection consumables. But for marketing campaigns, we usually showcase jet cooling as the best jet cooling manufacturer in the whole world. Build your team. Nothing happens if you don't have a team on marketing and sales. Train them on marketing skills. Train them on listening and negotiation skills. Train them on international communication and etiquettes. This is very important as global customers are put off by strong and unilateral communication from our side. I have seen companies following up very strongly and then they are getting blocked by the international customers. And one of the key strategy could be to onboard professionally mentors with international experience and network. This is the best and the shortest way to take leverage from someone who has huge global experience and network. Customer strategy. Well, this is a very important strategy and I have covered some part of it. So I'll be really fast on this. Retain existing customers. I have seen die casters who have grown exponentially are those who could retain their existing customers and maintain excellent relationship through value additions to the customer. Regain lost customers. Well, when I made a list of customers that we lost as a company in the last 1 decade, it was close to 40% in numbers as compared to present customers. Whatever the reason, the customer was lost. Remember, he still knows you better than a new customer. Maybe he does not know the developments and improvements that you have done in your business now. It is time to make a list of lost customers and check with them again. This needs minimal energies and cost. Acquire new customers. Well, enough has been said on this, and I think this remains the core strategy for most diecasters. Everyone in the business is trying to acquire new customers. But I want you to look at specifically to retain existing customers and on regaining lost customers. This could be your strategy. Probably if you focus on these strategies, probably you could regain a lost market, and maybe a market which could be you can access very easily. The last two strategies which I want to discuss is mapping customer touch points. As I told you before, identify customer objections and prepare objection handling responses with examples. As I talked before, global customers have lots of preset objections that are common and some are specific. And believe me, with Indian companies, they have a lot of objections. These are some objections that they could speak out or they would write on email, but then there are many objections that only remains with them. They will never speak out or write to you. In any case, all of these objections play a very important role in decision making. So your presentation, your company's presentation has to answer most of them through references and examples. The idea is to subtly answer to their objections, which they are maybe point out or which they might not point out. But then it could be key to their decision making. Strengthen and align for speed of part development and make it as your USP. If we have to beat China and other competing countries that offer an option to the buyer, I have seen speed of development as one common desire of the buyer. If you can take this as your USP, then your customer is more inclined to consider you as their alternative. Do competition analysis and research their costing patterns. Analyze costing, currency fluctuations, economic stability, logistics, and there are many more aspects. This will help a lot for preparing specific proposals. Create an entry strategy, an offer that they can't refuse. Why would a new OEM select you as their supplier? What is it that they would get apart from price from you? Why would they even entertain you as a supplier? These are questions that need to be worked out by your marketing team. What is an offer that you can create that they will not be able to refuse? That is your marketing. Your marketing team needs to brainstorm on this, on ideas, on offers, which you give to your customers, which they'll never be able to refuse. And the last strategy is to synergize and tap global markets. In these times of uncertainty, the best way to divide risk is to divide your profits as well. Well, when I talk about dividing profits, most of the businesses are not ready to do it. But then to grow exponentially, no one wants to divide its profits. But this on a short term has to be done through a JV or a collaboration. But this is a long-term strategy to grow in synergy. There are several collaboration examples in India. We know Aurangabad Electrical and CIE of Spain, now known as Mahindra CIE. Soundcasting has got a collaboration with Ryobi, Jai Hind with KSPG, Sundaram Dynacast, Minda Kosai. There are many others. Now is the time to look into this strategy. Post-COVID, diecasters overseas are looking at expansion in other Asian countries. While I was talking to Spain, you will not believe Spain is the manufacturing hub of Western Europe. There are only 40 Indian companies that they are operating from Spain, and there are only 14 Spanish companies working in India. That is the gap which we have still with European countries. As I said, post-COVID, die casters overseas are surely looking for expansion in other Asian countries. And since most buyers want to create alternate sourcing, they are looking at collaborations, JVs, and equity investments. We have seen some very successful medium-sized companies become large with equity investments and in some Indian die casters. Well, I come to the end of my presentation, and before we end this presentation, I would invite every one of you to visit us at the Japan Die Casting Congress and Exposition. That is where we're launching the book also, and also in the Elucast show, which is happening from December 1st to 3rd, 2022. I would again request everyone to visit such shows and explore on your business perspective. And do write to me at my email ID for a free copy of my, also offering a free copy for everyone who will write today for at my end at my email ID, so that when the book gets published, I would make sure that this is delivered to you at your address. Thank you so much for your patience listening and appreciation. I really appreciate the time which you have spent over this afternoon. I hope my presentation and the content which I delivered could give you some value, some ideas and some thoughts, some strategies which you can use to take your business and use these sales and marketing strategies to explore your business and expand it too. Thank you so much. And as regards to the gift, I'm sharing a link to you, and please download that link. You'll get the list of exhibitions which are happening across the world. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rahat.
I have shared the link for everyone to download the list.
We are now open to questions and answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So participants, we now open the QA session. We would be happy. In fact, Rahat will be happy to answer your questions. Any questions from your side, participants?
This is Ramesh from Rockman.
Yes, Mr. Ramesh.
Yes, Mr. Ramesh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I had sent one query also prior to the presentation. I just want to understand what will be the impact of transition of automotive sector from IC engine to EV engine, what impact it will have on the capacity which is already on board and on the operational manpower.
So you're asking what is the impact, the transition which is going on from gasoline engines to electric mobility?
That's right, sir.
Correct. So as far as India is concerned, there is a significant impact on the two-wheeler industry. The two-wheeler industry has been there is a high growth seen in the two-wheeler industry from unorganized sector, which means there are very small players which are assembling two-wheelers and selling them across the market. And this could be seen in the volumes which has been sold by some major two-wheeler companies in India. As far as four-wheeler is concerned, this transition is going to take some more time, and every automotive major is preparing and coming out with versions of its electric mobility. There are few players apart from the regular automotive companies who are coming out with electric cars even in India. So definitely there is going to be an impact on engine and engine components. If you're into manufacturing of engine blocks and engine components, there is going to be an impact which will come, but this impact is probably going to come in next 5 to 7 years. That's what this is the impact which you will be seeing. As far as globally it is concerned, in Europe, there is the speed at which electric mobility is moving is faster than electric four-wheelers are moving in Europe is faster than what is happening in India. So Europe is seeing this transition very fast. And this is also an opportunity for die-casters to look into the various electric mobility parts which they can develop. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you, sir. I have one more follow-up question, which through your presentation I was able to understand is, on one side you are telling that focus on exports. On the other side, you are telling that most of the customers, they want the local source. So what strategy to be adopted between these two? What is the bifurcation we have to follow?
So come again, can you, I didn't miss out the last sentence of your question.
No, I want to understand what kind of a trade-off we have to do, because most of the customers, they want a local source. Most of the Indian die casters also, they are putting shops for in US and Europe to cater to the OEMs over there because of the risk of COVID which has brought in on the logistics. So on one side, this strategy is there. On the other side, going for the export business. How to make a proper trade-off?
Correct. Well, this is a wonderful question. Thank you for asking this. If you see, I have through the presentation indicated to you that the exporting will become more and more difficult because of several reasons which I mentioned in the presentation. But then if you see, then there are the buying preferences also changing, which means from most buyers are looking at options apart from China. So they are not going to the capacities in their own countries are not going to come up overnight. They're going to take time. Of course, those countries are working on making their own country, but those capacities are going to come over time. And then when they come up, it will have some additional cost to it. And the parts are not going to be that cost effective, which they can get it from India or other manufacturing countries. So the idea is to look into both exports and create a marketing strategy, very focused marketing strategy on what exactly you can offer to the customer, which will make them buy from you. That is what needs to be thought of and prepared. And the transition is happening both ways. One is going upwards and going down, which means the transition is both ways. And I think the marketing strategy for every company has to be different for both domestic and exports. And for the exports, as I said, sniper marketing strategy, it has to be very focused on focused customers who are looking at buying castings, on sourcing them.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. Any other question?
Rajji, good afternoon. This is Anand Deshpande from Sound Castings.
Yeah, good afternoon, Anandji. How are you?
So I'm doing well. And first of all, I really appreciate the nice presentation that you have put across.
Thank you so much.
My question is regarding, you mentioned the structural castings, which are catching on quite a bit. So do you see the structural castings coming up only in EV vehicles, or could that also be for conventional ICE vehicles? And do you see the trend catching on in India in the near future as regards structural castings?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking this question. The structural castings have been there in Europe since 2008, which means the Europe started with structural castings in 2008. By that time, the EV vehicle revolution was not happening. So in Europe, structural castings are also widely used in IC engines, cars also. This is the one part of the question. Yes, they are still using it. If you see Nemak in Poland and other parts, they're making structural castings, a lot of them, for automotive companies in Europe. The second aspect of structural castings coming up in India, yes, with electric mobility now catching up for four-wheelers, and which means cars and trucks and for other four-wheelers also. Structural casting would land up in India, but all this will come only when it gets driven by the OEMs. So if the OEMs are working towards preparing their vehicles to the needs and demands of the Indian customers, and if that demands more stability in their vehicle, or if this structural casting is going to give them an impact of some cost saving, Probably that will come very soon. Let me share with you, Japan is also now going to install giga presses. And I'm going to visit a customer there in Japan, which is now ready to install in giga press, also preparing large structural parts. Probably, as I said before, the trend is surely going to come from smaller parts to integrated castings. And this could be integrated with structural parts also. So I see that structural parts are going to come, anytime in India also with local sourcing to start, as they start with local sourcing also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rahat. This is Tej Bamra. How are you doing?
I'm all good. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so very interesting, and thank you very much for the elaborate presentation and all the hard work and the research that you've done on this. I don't have a question, but I have an addendum to what you have presented, and I couldn't hold myself in giving a feedback on what you just elaborated upon. Being in the niche segment of the die casting at Rockman,
Right.
I can totally relate to what you have presented and the way forward on the industry. The point is, there are two issues here which are very vital to be addressed. One, where are we in terms of the growth in the segments that you have mentioned and the marketing strategies for our tier 1 and tier 2/tier 3 die casters? The industry that was at one time the backbone of the die casting in the country until a short while ago. Point number one. Point number two, if you talk about the giga presses and you talk about the segment that you just mentioned, it is not even the niche who are there across the world who are catering to this. You know it very well. There are capacities on the higher tonnage machines even in India where people have installed 4,000 tons and above, which are still not utilized. Point number three, the cost of the investment and the return on the investment on these segments that we spoke about, or not even the giga, forget about the giga, the return on investments on smaller die casting components, but export critical components that you mentioned that you have this export critical components where you make better profitability. In most of the cases, the ROI, unfortunately, doesn't work out because buyers across are not willing to pay you for your investments. They're not willing to pay you for your cost of quality/poor quality. So all these issues put together get you back to thinking. And, of course, what you have mentioned is very, very helpful in terms of doing the marketing or looking at the way forward for the years to come. But as on today, are we really prepared is the question. Or as on today, where do we stand on this?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll try and give you my answers or maybe whatever I understand of the whole situation. The first question you talked about the growth of tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 die casters, probably which were the backbone of the industry. I talked about a threat, in the coming times, maybe in next decade. That is a long-term threat. But on a short term, the tier 2 and tier 3, I've seen them impacted gravely. And what you talked about is, is the ground reality of India. Well, when I talked about this country, Turkey, this time when you were there in Eurogus also, I saw even tier 2 companies exhibiting in Eurogus. Leave tier 1. And at our end, we have yet to reach, even tier 1 companies yet to reach, such exhibitions. So first is, there is a difference in their approach towards getting into exports. Probably the back end is also getting ready at their end to handle those exports. So all these years, die casting has been something which ever thought that marketing was something which was not their cup of tea, or maybe that was not needed. All it wanted to be done was to produce good castings and cost-effective castings. But that's what I wanted to stress out. With changing times, even tier 2 and tier 3 die casters in India have to understand with these changing times, probably probably they have to come out of whatever they were doing and look into more marketing options. Look closely, work with customers or OEMs. There are very small and big startups coming in India, with this electric vehicle mobility. So probably they have a more proactive approach. That is what they can do right now within India. If they have, if they are more have some resistance to go to abroad, probably they can work in India and have more proactive approach, working closely with these startups. One is this, but the challenge still remains. Of course, with post-COVID, I have mentioned a lot of challenges. And some of the challenges I did not mention, but the challenge to the business still remains, and it will be a very big task for them. Let me tell you that the reference which I was giving for Russia, the Russian die casting is the Russian automotive is looking for tier 2 and tier 3 die casting companies in Turkey also to source their products. So they are okay with if they are okay with those kind of tier 2 die casters also for smaller parts, because they need small parts also. They're not able to produce there in Russia right now. I hope I have answered the first question. The second question which you asked about is unutilized capacities. Yes, there are unutilized capacities even in India. We just mentioned 4,000 tons and above. Probably some decisions maybe ahead of times, but then in times to come, this unutilized capacities are the result of sometimes or the result of absence of long-term marketing also. Probably the marketing efforts long-term which you will do today will fetch you results after maybe 2 years, 3 years. Short-term marketing, medium-term and short-term marketing efforts might fetch you after 6 months. So I see that there could be an absence of marketing strategies, maybe that could not work, could be a reason for unutilized capacities. And die casting, the life cycle for getting a business is very long. The customer, you go to a customer and get introduced, give a cost and give a quote, and then they don't give you a business right away. They will do their due diligence and take a lot of time to give that. So I think on times to come, if we really have to look into unutilized capacities, we really have to be very aggressive in marketing. I see that countries like Turkey and other countries are very aggressively marketing, and probably that is one of the reasons they are growing very fast. The third is the cost of investments and ROI. A very valid question. Export critical components. Even if you are manufacturing export critical components, the ROI doesn't seem to be interesting to even continue the business. And this question comes from most die casting companies which I have met. The cost of investment has gone up because everything has become expensive. Also the bankers have also increased their lending rates. So definitely the cost of investments have gone up. So the challenge of creating an ROI with this cost of investment still remains. And believe me, some part of it I have written in the book also about this challenge of the ROI and cost of investments. And I'm not marketing my book, but I'm saying that please read this book. There is some content which says that the overall operations of the die casting company has to be looked into in a way that we really have to bring more level of efficiency in the whole process, more level of less rejections coming into the castings. Is probably that's the only way we can reduce our costs. But as far as ROI needs to be increased, if you have more customers, high-paying customers, if you have more marketing, then probably you can be a little selective on selecting the parts also. So from a marketing front, all I can say is that it's a challenge which every die casting company faces. We see it every day, but then we'll have to come out with some solutions. Marketing could be one option out of it.
Thanks very much. I think it will take more than what we have in hand right now in terms of time to discuss this in detail. So
yes.
Do that sometime. Thanks very much. A great presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do we have more questions?
Any more questions from the participants? In fact, I think we have got very good participants, Rahat, today.
Right.
Webinar, and I think they have themselves got so much to share with us.
Yeah. So probably, I would like to say that even if you have questions which you want to ask me, and
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Hello. There is one question. Hello.
Can you please introduce yourself? I am just not getting your name.
Yeah, I am Dhananjay from Minda Group.
Yes, Mr. Dhananjay.
Yes, actually, my question is very simple. We are switching over from diesel, petrol to electric heavy vehicles like two-wheeler, four-wheelers. So, impact I heard about you from you. Impact, what is going to impact? But my simple question is that what is the maintenance charges? Will it in long period will it sustain or not? Because if I buy one bike and after 3 years, 4 years, maybe during changing of replacement of batteries and all that, it is sustainable or not? Whether customer is willing to just go through this type of vehicles or they can decline. So this scenario, I am feeling like that. So what is your opinion regarding this?
Well, this is more of an automotive question, but what I from my experience, I've seen that the two-wheeler or electric mobility has seen some challenges of even burning of the vehicle also, and sometimes even four-wheelers also. So we are at a nascent stage in electric mobility. So probably it will take some more time for us to see some practical and ground realities of electric mobility. Right now, the countries like US and Europe have done more research on electric mobility, and they have much more experience than us. So it is very difficult to say right now, from maintenance point of view, whether it would be feasible or not. Tesla is giving a 7-year maintenance-free warranty, and probably they're giving on some basis. But this needs to be seen over a period of time, what happens and how customers take it. But I think that it will take more time for us to come to a conclusion on this.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Hello. Does this answer?
Yes. Your answer is somewhat perfect. But my question is that whether it is sustainable or not.
So electric vehicle mobility sustenance will, as I said before, we will have to spend some more years to understand whether the sustainability will come or not. Apparently it looks like that it will be sustainable because it has less moving parts. So it will have more maintenance. From that perspective, it just looks like sustainability. But then, as I told you, there are some safety issues which have come up. So probably the companies have to look into those safety issues. Again, as far as battery is concerned, the batteries are also is coming from lithium ion, and so lithium ion is also a rare material. So those sustainability issues are also being looked at across the world, on how we can have more electric kilometer per charge. So maybe in times to come, the world is changing very fast. And for this to have sustainability, we'll have more time to look into. Probably nobody would be able to answer it right now, whether these would be sustainable or not. But yes, this looks like that they will sustain for a good number of years.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, I think probably there are many things that are running in the mind of everybody here, because we are in the phase of transition, right? So many changes happening. And I appreciate Rahat because like I think this question was, I would say, out of the curriculum for today's webinar, right? Yeah, but I appreciate that you tried your best to answer based upon your experience and based on what interactions and what you get to see as you travel, I think, across the world for your business and your other initiatives. And I think the answer to the sustainability, I think the Allocast 2022 is going to be the right platform, right? Because that is the theme for Allocast 2022. We are going to talk about green and smart die casting solutions for sustainability. So, Mr. Dhananjay, I look forward to meet you at Allocast 2022 at Chennai on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of December, because we are going to have a lot of presentations that focus on sustainability in our Allocast 2022 conference. And even the exhibition stalls, exhibition booths, the presentation of the booths and the display of the products are also, the focus is going to be sustainability. So I think let us take this discussion forward when we meet at Allocast 2022. Probably the experts who would be enlightening us with their presentations, the conference will probably give us answers to all these questions that are there in our mind. To sum up, I would say that what Mr. Rahat was trying to communicate to all of us is that as a die casting industry, we not only need to evolve, because evolving is very important, changing is very important, because like we have gone through many things, especially in the last 2 years, and there are many things that are bothering us, obviously shortage of chips, and then the rising prices of raw material. And there were so many things, and then this transition happening from the conventional vehicles that we have been using to the EV vehicles. So a lot of changes happening, but the message I get from your presentation is that we need to remain relevant. We do have opportunities. India has got a lot of opportunities in this transition, and I think we need to evolve, but evolve not only in terms of the processes that we are using, the tools that we are using, the products that we are innovating, but at the same time, it is very important that we are able to reach out to the right customers. So sales strategies also play a very important role. It is very important that we are able to reach the right customers. So I think that is the gist of your presentation today, and I think that is what you were trying to convey to our friends from the die casting fraternity. And I think when the book comes, I think we'll be in a better position probably to understand what you were trying to convey to this 1.5 hour presentation. There is so much to talk, I know. There is so much to share, Rahat, from your side with all of us.
Right.
Yeah. Looking forward to meet you also at Allocast 2022, because you are an active participant in Allocast 2022 also, not only as the vice chairperson of the Allocast Delhi Zonal Center, but also as the founder director of Raga Group. So we look forward to meet you, and friends, we look forward to meet all of you at Allocast 2022, because the focus is discussing, sharing knowledge with each other about how we can move towards sustainability. That is the theme for Allocast 2022. And do get in touch with the Allocast head office. Do get in touch with the Nuremberg Message team for the participation opportunities, for partnership opportunities, so that we are able to improve our visibility to the die casting fraternity, because the entire targeted group will be present for this conference and exhibition. So thank you so much, Rahat, for sparing your valuable time for all of us, because I know you keep on traveling and it's very difficult to get hold of you. So I would say we are all fortunate that we could have your time today and listen to you, and keenly looking forward to see your book. And the book is going to be released in India in Allocast 2022. So all our best wishes to you. And thank you so much for this wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kirti, for organizing this. It is a wonderful platform, and today we had a very wonderful presence from everyone, keenly listening and interacting also. So I'm from, on behalf of Allocast, on behalf of my company, I would really want to thank everyone for being there. Still, there are more than 50 plus participants there. I want to thank every one of you for listening to it, trying to understand. I just shared my experience, which I had in last few years, and I am there to contribute and give back to the community. And whatever questions you have, you can ask me directly also anytime.
Alucas 2022, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much. With your permission, Rahat, may we close the session now?
Yeah, please do that.
Yeah, thank you,
so much.
participants, and see all of you at Alucas 2022 very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.